Oh my gosh, I am live with the one and only Sandra Spurgeon. Sandra, how in the world are you?
I'm great, Ken. There could only be one. How are you doing at
I am
10 o'clock
wonderful.
at night on a Monday?
What?
I said 10 o'clock on a Monday.
It's not 10 o'clock where you are.
It's 9 o'clock where I am, but I go by Eastern Standard Time, so it's 10 o'clock.
That sounds like a Billy Joel song. So Sandra, I wanted to get on here and brag about you. And hey, there's Jose Garza. How you doing, brother? Good to see you. I wanted to brag about you because I know a lot of attorneys. I know a lot. And you might just be, how do I say this without swearing? You might be the baddest attorney that I know. Like you're just okay. So everybody watching, Sandra was on the Today Show not too long ago. She was on, hey, Jay Fox down there in Dallas. He's your neighbor, Sandra.
Hi, Jay.
And Robert Brooker in Canada, eh? Um, so so she was on the Today Show. Then she's got this gig with the television show Law and Crime, and she's doing these things every week with Law and Crime. And you were just on the other day. You sent me the clips, and I have one, and I'm going to show it to everybody. If they drop a one in the comments of, you have to drop the number one in the comments if you want to see this clip. If I don't get any ones, then there's no point in showing the clip. That means nobody wants to see it. Oh, we already got a one. we we got one already.
Thank
So but you were on, so there was a, tell everybody about a little bit of backstory on this. This gentleman was murdered. He was an NBA superstar,
Yes. Hmm.
basketball player, NBA superstar, and he was murdered. And you were going over the case. How do they? I don't know. I may not get the terminology right, but you were discussing the case on Law and Crime.
So, presented with the opportunity about 6 weeks ago to guest host or to show as to appear as a guest analyst on Line Crime, and it just is a great opportunity to take my legal experience in a different direction, and I hopped all over it. And um, not that I've ever practiced criminal law. So the way that it works is that the night before you get the information on, you get three potential criminal trials that are ongoing, or criminal pre-trials for cases that are getting ready to go to trial, and you're asked to comment upon them. And so, not having done criminal law, it's like being back in law school. And so it gives me a little bit of a thrill, because I have to prepare like I was going to be called upon by a professor. And indeed, I was. Uh,
So listen, I watched this clip, and I can't say everything I said out loud, but I'm sitting here going, my God, she's a bad. I mean, I'm just like, this is unbelievable. By the way, Brandy, you guys should meet. She lives in Dallas or Fort Worth, maybe. And she's an attorney, and she's a really good friend of mine, and you guys should meet someday. She's way on the other side, southwest side, I think. I don't know. Brandy, you can put in the comments where you are. I don't know, but you guys should meet. She's awesome. So I'm going to show this clip because we got a bunch of ones that were dropped. So I'm going to show this clip. You guys, I'm going to show this. It's about a minute and 50 seconds long, and it's really cool because you kind of were put on the spot to deliver, and I thought you delivered with like massive power. So you guys check this out.
Well, my first guest, Sandra Spurgeon, trial attorney extraordinaire, has been sitting watching this with me for over the past hour. But Sandra, I'm going to go to you first. I asked you a while ago to give me your 30-second prosecution opening because remember, in court, he who tells the best story wins. So I want you to give me the story you would have told this jury in 30 seconds.
The Death of Lorenzo Wright is a made-for-TV movie. It's a story of greed, with a NBA legend paying the ultimate sacrifice with his life, the loss of a father for his children. The truth always comes out. It may not be today, it may not be immediate, but the truth always comes out. And you always look towards the money. Where's the money? What is the motive here? The money, the motive here was greed. The greed of the ex-wife, the scorn, being divorced of the NBA legend, and she needed the money. And so what does she do? She needed him dead. She paid upon receipt of the $1 million life insurance policy. She took that money and bought cars and lavish lifestyle. And what else did she do with it? Not for the benefit of the children, but for the benefit of Mr. Turner, the person who she was paying legal fees for, the person who ultimately owed her the favor, and the return of the favor and the payment ended in death and the murder of an NBA legend, Lorenzo Wright.
Well, I think that kind of summed it up passionately and terrifically. And, well, I think you also could teach this, Sandra.
I think she's right. I think you could teach it, Sandra.
Thank you so much. I mean, what an honor. I mean, I was in the green room and all of a sudden she comes in my ear and says, you know, right after the next break, you're going to give the defense opening. Oh, wait a minute. No, you're going to give the prosecution opening. And by the way, and in 2 minutes, you're going to give the defense opening. And I'm like, wait a minute. I just came into this case last night and I'm just supposed to be analyzing what's going on in this like first or second day of trial. But the prosecution was so lackadaisical and it was so boring in what he had to say. And I just could imagine those jurors sitting there thinking, okay, is this what you got? I mean, his tie was off to the side and he was almost whispering at times. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I can do this case in 30 seconds. And I made the mistake of telling her.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so I made the mistake of telling her. So guess what? I don't ever say what you don't want, what you don't wish for, because it came true. But you know, what an honor. I mean, Linda is just an icon in this, you know, with trial lit and advocacy skills. And you know, I went from thinking, what in the world is she doing, to she was amazing all throughout I ended up, I think, with 3 hours with her, which is a lot for me because I'm still practicing law full time, but I just couldn't pull away because she was just so engaging and asking questions even when I wasn't on screen. And if I didn't know the answers, heck, I was Googling it while she was, while we were waiting. So, but it's just a perfect tale of crime and greed and motive and, you know, everything you want to watch on Netflix. And I got to be part of it. I mean, I was just sitting there thinking, who, me? And so it was a great day.
That is so awesome. I love, you know, I know a lot of your story and you've been on my show and told a lot of your story. And, you know, you've been put in, you told a story about giving the opening statement to, what was it? It was at a conference or something. What was that story?
It's called, yeah, I can't remember the name of the conference, but it was the first conference. You had to have a verdict of $1 million or more to be invited to the conference. And, you know, most of us that get continuing education classes, you go and you take the newspaper, you take the phone, and you listen, but you're also distracted. Maybe you take your laptop and you're doing coursework, and you sort of, in this course, you're in the inner circle, and after about 15-20 minutes, they broke us into these caucuses where there were 7 or 8 of us in the room, and you can't hide. And so all day long, there were these men that were giving their, different openings. And I just sat very quietly because it was the first time I really had been involved with this group. And so I was really intimidated. And for me to say I'm intimidated, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
But I was intimidated because these guys have been practicing, and I was like, they've been practicing these openings and closings for months. And I'm used to like writing it, the night before, the day before, and going to the courthouse. And these guys were very, very skilled in honing their skills. And that was the first look at that I had of, oh, well, okay, so this is a very, very refined process that you need to follow. So when, Linda asked me to give this opening for the prosecution, and what the audience may not know right now is that in 2 minutes later, she asked me to give the opening for the defense. So as I sit with you on a Monday night, I'm glad I survived it, but the compliment from her was just, was worth it all. I really enjoyed that segment with Linda.
Now, is she so she's a powerhouse in the industry, I guess?
Yes. I mean, if you look at her and you look at her social media, her husband is, I think, a famous pathologist in the world. And she is a professor, I believe, at Harvard in trial advocacy. So,
Wow.
I mean, here I am, this little girl from Eastern Kentucky, and I have this Harvard professor telling me that I could teach the class. I'm thinking, oh, she must not have been listening.
She was listening, and it's amazing. Look, even the audience says it's amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I mean, Monday has been a real, I'm just like everybody else. Every day is a hard day. I'm sitting here still at 10:18 at night, 9 o'clock Central Standard Time, 10 o'clock Eastern. I'm still behind my desk tonight. I've been here since 6:30 this morning. And, people count on me. People count on us to do what we do. And yeah. I still care. I know that God isn't finished with me yet. And I know that I'm meant to do and to help other people. And so I'm still sitting here tonight, eating my dinner while we're talking. When you came and you and I started talking, and I was telling you what a horrible day I'd had. And so I'm still eating my crackers and cheese for dinner tonight.
One of the things that, and for anybody that hasn't seen the interview that I did with Sandra, one of the things that I love about you is, well, several things, but one thing is you've never lost a case, knock on wood. You've won 127 or 8?
7.
127 cases that you've tried and you've never lost.
Let's don't say that too loud. But yeah. Yes. And it's all because I'm still sitting behind the computer after all these years at 10 o'clock, almost 30 at night.
Right. But I that's the thing is, here you are, you're and I have seen the side of you, not in court. Never do I want to see that. At least being on the opposing side, I would not want to face you in court. But I've seen you. How do I say this? I've seen you surgically pick apart something with a skill set that I've never seen. Like, it's unbelievable. And so that is why, are you allowed to talk about that one case with the electronics company?
With Sony? Sure. Yeah. It was just really fun.
Just throw it out there.
Yeah. So in 2004, light conversation for a Monday night. just starting out doing the plaintiff part of my practice. I still do a lot of defense work, but the one of the first plaintiff cases that I had it was against Sony Electronics, and I thought it was a great idea, as a two-person practicing law firm to take on Sony Electronics because it was the right thing to do. And I associated with another firm, which they did a great job, and will always be indebted for what they brought to the table. But in reality, I went to my roots. It was a case in Eastern Kentucky, and this lady had a TV that caught fire. We couldn't explain the reason why it caught fire, but we could prove that it was the TV that got fire. And everybody agreed with that except Sony. And so during the trial, I put every dime of savings in this case, and that my husband at the time and I had. And I was young and I was green and I was hungry for it, and I wanted, and it was just the right thing to do. But, sitting there at trial, you have 100,000 doubts as to why you're sitting there. And I just buried my dad 5 days before the trial started. And so it was a really difficult time personally, and it was in federal court. And so it was, I remember going outside and sitting on a park bench while the jury was deliberating, crying to my husband saying, I spent every dime we had in this case. And he goes, it's already been spent. All you need to concentrate on is coming home to me and the girls. And what a kind thing for him to say, because I would imagine when I got off the phone, maybe it wasn't that kind, but he had faith in me in the process. And so we go in the courtroom, we're waiting for the verdict, and the judge comes out and he's like talking about it. He goes, I don't want anybody talking to my jurors. And I thought, I can trust you, honey. I'm going home. I am not talking to anybody. As soon as you hand me my head on a platter, I'm leaving. And I'm not talking to anybody. I'm not going to tell anybody. I hope nobody knows about it.
Oh
and
my God.
It was a several $1 million verdict later that I realized he was actually talking to the defense. And it was just a powerful moment in understanding the responsibility of what your voice as a lawyer means. And the voice, a lot of people will say they're trial attorneys. Well, they don't have gray hair. And there's very few people that actually know how to try a case and how to get into the courtroom and be authentic for the clients that they're representing. And I've had the benefit of representing some pretty awesome people.
And that case, the woman was deceased, so you were fighting for her family.
No, she was still living.
Oh.
She had third-degree burns on her face and her hands. And
wow.
It was so difficult to manage because, she just, what did she have to live for in reality? I mean, this case, I was never it didn't matter all the money in the world I was going to be able to get for her. And it was true. I mean, there was a blue hue circling her TV, and it was during the days when there was like paneling on the walls.
Yeah.
The TV, and it sparked and it caught fire. But the ridiculous position of Sony is that they took that none of their electronic equipment could ever cause a fire. And so, they put themselves, never say never, right? I mean, and it was a situation where they never said never. And so during the trial, I think what you were getting at, Ken, is that Sony brought an exemplar, like a sample TV, and they had all the components laid out. And I asked to approach the bench, and I had the corporate representative from Japan hold out his hand. I asked, and the judge asked me what I was going to do, and the witness asked me what I was going to do. And I said, well, you said that no component of this TV could ever catch fire. So I'm going to reach it to you. I'm going to plug it in. And he jerked his hand back. And it was just the theatrics in the courtroom. I didn't have to say a word. I mean, it wasn't the talent. It wasn't a Perry Mason moment in terms of that I had the intellect. It was just the optics of that were so bad for Sony. And I think it's the only verdict in the country still standing against Sony.
Wow. See, that's so powerful. And I want to also, like, everybody watching, Sandra is now, well, you wrote a book. You want to talk about your book?
Well, in 2017, I felt like I had done all I could do. I got to the point where I was burnt. I mean, I think a lot of us in our careers, everybody always said, be careful because every case will eat a little part of your soul.
Mm.
And I kept thinking, what in the world are you talking about? And, I didn't take that time to work on myself and my well-being. And in 2017, it hit me. I was burning myself. I was burning my staff. I was everything. We were burning it at both ends. And we had a spectacular year. The only thing was missing was me. And I had to take time to understand that I had to factor into the equation that while I was doing all of the rest, while I was pleasing corporate America, I was pleasing my clients, the person who was left really empty, it had eaten my soul. And so I left the practice of law for a period of time, never believing that I was ever going to come back. And so I started working with some folks who kept saying, well, what do you want? I'm like, well, if I knew what I want, why would I need you? And you can imagine I'm a difficult client, right? And so I finally one day I said, I want to write a book and I want to pay it forward. And he goes, well, then what are you waiting on? I'm like, oh, for God's sakes. But it took that coming up, it took that challenge.
Yeah.
That self development, that movement that you need within yourself to get off of the uncomfortable. A lot of us will stay, whether it be a personal relationship, whether it be a professional relationship, we all stay because it's what we know and we're comfortable, even when it's not right for us and when it's damaging to us. Yeah. And I stayed personally and professionally when it was eating my soul. And when I was forced off center and forced to take an internal look at myself and turn inward, I said, okay, God, got it. I understand. And, I was taken back to my foundation of having understanding that I was a good person. I may not be the smartest, but I've done some very cool things in my life, and I've helped a lot of people in my life. I've trained a lot of good people, whether they like it or they don't, and whether they were whether they were pleased with the sacrifice they were having to make, pushing and prodding and pulling. At the end of the day, I always made it work.
Yep.
And then came me. And so I went back into the practice of law, but I have done it on my terms since then.
And you are just you're such an inspiration. I don't think I really don't think you realize how much of an inspiration you are. But like here's Sandy Archer, a friend of mine. Totally understand this. Finding me was the hardest thing I ever did. Jay Fox said, I want to put her number in my phone book. You never know when you need the best attorney. It's so true.
It's so kind. It's so kind. But it's just really, I mean, it's a lot of elbow grease, and it's a lot of dedication. You realize that you're when I signed on to do this track in my life, it's a life of service for other people. And,
Yeah.
do we do well? We do, but, it's a lot of sacrifice, and it is a lot of finding yourself. And it's so now it's for me is what are these next steps? People are saying, you're on TV and you're doing these different kinds of things. So what is your next step? And I still enjoy practicing law, and so I'm really burning the candle at both ends, trying to make it all work. And um, you know, and at the end of the day, what you can say is, God, I have been blessed.
You have been, and you've also, and Brandy's says she definitely needs to read your book. You are, I know Brandy really well. You are definitely speaking to her soul. So Sandra is doing, these television shows, and you're speaking, you're a speaker, you've written a book, I know you're speaking to the big, I don't even know what the heck it's called up here in Ohio in May.
The Ohio Association for Justice. And what an honor.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys they're doing plaintiff work. They're doing a lot of work that I've done for such a long period of time. And the
Yeah.
opportunity to go in and talk to them, and
Yeah.
sometimes you just need to be validated. Sometimes you just need someone to say you're doing a good job, keep
Yeah.
up the good work, and to be reminded of why you're doing what you're doing is sometimes it's just so rewarding.
Amen. Amen. There's a lot of great things coming from you, happening for you. I mean, you're a client of mine, and a very, very, I consider you a very dear friend. And I just know I know, I know a lot more than I can talk about. And I just know that there's some great things coming for you, and I'm excited for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Surviving Greatness for Your Lawyer Friend hopefully comes out in May. We're working through the final stages of the manuscript, and this next book in my life will speak to her. Because while it's fiction, I've taken moments in my life when there have been lessons that I have learned, and we've dropped them into this fictional character who is just so flippin' cool and cooler than what I could ever be. And so I'm excited for you all, for everybody to meet her and to be able to. There's some things you've told me, Ken, and there's some things that my husband David has shared with me. I just learned so much when you just stop and just listen.
Yeah.
And I've been taking notes now for 4 years. And so now I'm taking and dropping those sprinkles into this book. Lessons that, from an older perspective of Sandra, that if I had known as a younger version of myself, what platform that would have given me. And I'm hoping that it will share and inspire other, initially young women between 25 and 45. And then we're hoping to drop in and do children's books, helping those children and preteens understanding their self-worth in a day of social media. And so I'm looking forward to that.
I mean, because I'm involved in that project, I've seen some, it's freaking amazing.
It's fun.
I'm,
She's so cool. I mean, I
oh,
want to be her. I want to.
you are her.
I don't feel like her.
You are her.
I don't feel like her, but she's so cool. I mean, it's great because it's a different occupation, a different take, and sitting and I edited it in Mexico this last week. My husband took me away for a few days to help me get through because I needed to focus on it.
Yeah.
And it was just, I couldn't get enough. I'm really excited. I've got about another 100 or so pages to edit. And so I'm just really excited for the world to get to see it.
I think, and Brandy, you nailed it, but I'm gonna do both of you a favor right now, and I'm gonna say this. Let's remove the word attorney from that sentence and just say a multi-passionate woman, because the reason that you are extraordinarily successful in your law practice, um, and extraordinarily successful in everything that you put your hands on,
Thank you.
is because you genuinely give a crap. You care. You literally, like, I know attorneys, and I look, I know one of my best friends is an attorney. I love Mike Anthony. He cares about people too. But I know attorneys that don't give a crap about anything except for what they can get out of you. And that's it. And that is not you. You are a genuinely good, kind, and loving. You love people, and
I-
you hate bad people. And I think it's your life's mission to bury them. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, but like, you really do. You go out of your way to stick up for the underdog and crush the souls of the people that would hurt them.
Well, I think that, yesterday I was placed with a real political question in a sensitive situation. And I think that it's very important that, regardless of what you think of people individually, for those of us that have chosen this profession, to uphold the law and to go into the courtroom understanding every time you go, you're doing it honestly and you're doing it passionately, and you're upholding that oath that you took, it's everything to me. I mean, it is such an important coveted role that we take.
Yeah.
And that and it doesn't matter what you do, whether you're the janitor or whether you're a pharmacist or whether you're a social media promoter or whether you're a doctor, the doing it for the right reason. And always, it's what I've always told associates, is that you never go into court, you never ever, without being prepared, knowing what you're saying. You're always the most prepared in the courtroom, and you know exactly, what the judge, you hand the judge, the law. You don't sway it. You don't manipulate it. It is what it is. And somebody asked me yesterday that they were watching the Supreme Court nominations, and I know this is a politically sensitive matter. And they said, well, I was really bothered that she couldn't define a woman. I said, you know what? It's because in the legal profession, we're not taught to deal with men and women. We are meant to defend. It is a person that's defined under the law.
Mm.
And it was like a light bulb that went off for me, that, wow, how easy it is to manipulate the thoughts of other people. She isn't, that is a Supreme Court justice. I'm neither for her or against her, but I was pretty proud of watching her daughter watch her. It was just amazing to me. But the fact that she sees law blindly, she doesn't see Ken and Sandra, she sees people.
Yeah. Yeah.
It amazed me as to how that was so unique to her that they couldn't get that. And then to be able to explain that yesterday, to where people thought, she wasn't just being a fool, she was upholding her oath to the law.
Wow.
That's
the first time I've heard that.
No, that's what she was doing. She was upholding her oath.
Wow.
To be impartial and unbiased.
You remember I told you when I had Judge Ken Starr on the show.
Yes.
And he's, I said, you are the like, and I think you approach the same status, like very, what's the word? Unbiased. Like he's like, there is no left and right. He's right here, right in the middle. And this is, and exactly what you just said. It has to fall within the guise of what does the law say about it.
Mhm. Well, if you look at the other part of the clip, I mean, and I know you're going to post it, but if you look at the other part of the clip, 2 minutes later, I give the opposite opening statement
Yeah.
for the defense.
Wonder if we could watch that. Let me
And
see.
it's, and
Let me
it's just a matter of understanding the law and how you're presenting it from two different perspectives. And that's what Ken Starr did. He had a job to do and he did it. I think people loved him for it and I think people hated him for it. And I know that there was a lot of fallout. Even now, there's still discussion about it. But the fact that he approached it in such an impartial manner.
Impartial. That's the word, impartial.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. For those of us that understand that, it's very admirable because a lot of people can't do that.
No, I can't. I really can't. Can I show that second part?
Yeah, if you want to. Yeah.
I know we can't stay on here all night, but let me.
Why not? It's 10:42.
It's 10:42.
I'm only flying out in the morning, but we can do it. No,
Are you really?
I am. Yeah.
Oh my
Flying.
gosh, I didn't know that.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
Okay, let me see if I can make this work here. I have to do it a different way. Can you see that?
I can.
Okay, let me do this. Okay, here we go.
My eyes are shut.
They are? Hey, let's mute. Let's mute yourself
No,
if you would.
no, on my video. It's
I know. They won't be in a minute. I'm gonna play it. Hang on.
Sandra, you did hear somebody say God before, like, it could have been, oh my God, before these shots rang out. And somebody had the presence of mind to actually call 911. So Lorenzen Wright had to know that he was going to be killed by somebody he knew, which is his wife's cousin. What say you?
I'm sorry. What struck me about the shots were the repetitive, the intentional. It wasn't a gun going off. I think that it showed that whoever was using that gun meant to kill him. And so I think that emphasis could have been made by the prosecutor there. I agree. I agree with Dina that by itself, just hearing it doesn't give impact. But when you hear it consecutively like that, it was like, wow, whoever was shooting meant it. They meant to kill him.
And nothing was done about those shots to 911. It was forgotten. It wasn't sent to the police.
Is you have to unmute yourself now? Sorry. Is that what you wanted to show?
No, there's another part where I do the defense opening statement, but I think that the point to be made from that segment is that knowing the emphasis and why you're emphasizing it and triggering the jurors ability to causing them to react is a real seasoned thing that you have to learn to know to do. The fact that he just showed this video, this prosecution. I mean, here he is, got the side top button done, and he's got, and he's like playing this video, and he's talking really slow. And I'm thinking, somebody is getting killed here. Somebody right now. That somebody is a father. That somebody is leaving this world. So how do you make a juror care? And you say it's not just one shot. Maybe the gun fired accidentally. It wasn't just one. It was pop, 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 pop. That somebody, whoever it was, meant to kill him.
Wow.
They meant to they wanted to make sure he didn't walk away. And it would take somebody with motive to stand over with somebody and shoot them like that. Pop, 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 pop. Like something you'd watch on a movie.
So your job as an attorney in that situation, whether, I mean, well, prosecutor or defense, is to dig deep and pull out serious emotions from every juror sitting in the jury box.
To bring out the reality of what a horrible thing to have to sit and listen to as his life leaves this world.
Wow.
That's what I was thinking. I would have cried my eyes out had I been on the jury listening to that, because it was like, wow, he didn't know. What would he have said to his family if he'd have known those were his last few moments on the earth? Somebody took that right away from him, telling his children that he loved them.
Wow.
Right. And that there were issues as to whether he was on drugs or whatever, and to give him the opportunity to talk to his children and to say maybe some of the choices that Dad has made have not been the right ones, but I didn't make them maliciously, and somebody took that right away from him. Somebody took that right, those moments away from him. And to me, you take a simple, you take a pop, 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 pop of a 911 video, and then you put that kind of thought into it, that somebody, as you're sitting here listening as a jury, somebody is transitioning out of this world through the hands of another person. I think puts a different spin on it. It did me.
Wow.
It moved me, and I had to sort of suck back the tears, the emotion of it, just listening to it, because I thought, oh, how horrible of a moment that was.
That is horrible. But see, that's, if there were anything I was going to stress to anyone listening, attorney, plumber, janitor, social media manager, doesn't matter what business you're in, if you can put yourself in the position like Sandra you're talking about, you put yourself in the emotional trauma, the emotional, all of the feelings, all of the stuff, you're in the entire thing with your soul. And when you can do that, and you can, no matter what it is that you're doing, if you're interviewing somebody and you can listen and you can feel, I feel it coming from you. I think the audience, if they don't feel it, there's something wrong. So if you can immerse yourself into that level of emotion with what you're doing in life, success, I would imagine, is inevitable.
It's secondary. I don't ever think about that.
Right.
People say that, and I just sort of laugh, because it's almost a little embarrassing at times. Because, for people that know me, God knows I've had my share of hard knocks. People, if there's any of my former employees working with me, they know how hard it is to get there, but they have always known one thing. I've always been there shoveling it shoulder to shoulder with them. There's never been a time that somebody was working harder than me, and I have meant what I say and say what I do always.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's even hard for me to really, it's even really hard for me to talk about that moment in his trial, just as we're sitting here, because it's just, the world is so flippant. We got social media, and we can click on and we can look at it and we can walk away, and we really don't get emotionally involved or attached. Gosh, but when you sit and you linger for just a second and you see how people suffer, and how people suffer at the hands of themselves, or people are suffering at the hands of others, and they don't have a voice. I had a medical issue over the last couple of weeks. As you know, I've been dealing with a situation that's going to come up with some resulting in surgery, and I've got great medical care. And I just said to them, nobody was talking about anybody else. It was just me. I immediately go to the point of, thank you, God. I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed. But what happens to those that don't have the resources that I do, that don't have doctors on speed dial, right?
Right. Yep.
And it's just, it's you got to think about those things. And it's just, I'm always one that's always, not only thinking of myself, I hope that others see, but always trying to pave a way for other people as well.
Sandra, you are one of my favorite people on this planet. I'm so grateful to call you a friend and a client and a sister. And
Thank you for reaching down and picking me up tonight. It's been, it's, it's good for people to see that, you'll see me with the makeup, you'll see me with the hair, you'll see me performing, but in reality, I'm just like everybody else. And this evening particularly has been a hard evening. And it's, but the difference between you and me and everybody else is perseverance. And we got to go on. The show's got to go on. And you've reminded me of why I do what I do. So thank you.
You're a rock star, and I'm grateful for you. So, everybody watching, please go follow her. She's like, you need to follow her. She's amazing. There are some great things coming. There's, you've done your thing for 30 years and right-ish somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
And you've done it so just unbelievably well, and you're doing other things. Like there's even bigger, greater things. I mean, the Today Show, for the love of God, and the law and crime TV show you're doing, and just everything you've got going on. I just want to say, Act 2. I want one of those clapboard things. Act 2. Here we go.
Thank you. When Forbes magazine reached out and I did the interview with them, I was like, "Who are you talking to? Do you mean me? Do you mean me? I mean, what in the world?" And and you don't get caught up in that. You do what you do, and then when you come up, it seems so easy, but the stories. Nothing comes easy. And if anybody could be me, anybody could be you, Ken. You're always working 7 days a week. I know that. People that know you and love you know that. But it's what it takes. That's what it takes.
Yeah.
Of course, there are the exceptions. There are the people that are just born gifted, and they've got the spoon, and there's nothing that you or I can say to that. But for the 99 and 9/10 of us that everybody, I've always said, you want to be me? Okay, well, come on over. 10:54 on a Monday night. Come on over. You can be me. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of sacrifice. But what I can look at an associate, or I can look at somebody and say, okay, this is what you do, and this is how you do it. And I'm not even looking at any law, anything. It's the school of hard knocks has made me who I am, and made you who you are.
That's listed on I think on my Facebook profile as my college education, as I went to UHK.
No, I haven't seen. I did. If I have blonde hair for a reason. So if you did put that, I would enjoy seeing that. That's too kind. You're very insightful. We come from two different walks of life, but you certainly inspire me every day. You and Jill both.
You're amazing. Thank you. You inspire us as well. Everybody follow Sandra, and we will see you all later. Have a great night. Sandra, thanks for jumping on with me for a little bit.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you.
Don't leave. Don't leave. Just hang tight for a second.
Okay.
We'll see you guys later.